WDHN. This is WDHN News at 10.
Thanks for joining us. Carolyn's off. I'm Ben Stanfield. You can expect us to ask the tough questions. Tonight we did. Alabama's Secretary of Education was in Dothan tonight for a forum with teachers and others. Dr. Tommy Bice talked about a lot of things. One thing he would not discuss was his recent controversial pay raise. The 26% hike increased Bice's annual salary to $250,000. The raise was approved by the State Board of Education and endorsed by Governor Robert Bentley. Bice has pretty much sidestepped the issue since the increase was approved last month. He did it again tonight.
That really hasn't come up in the forums. It's really not part of the discussion tonight. That's a separate issue.
There you have it. Two state school board members voted against the pay raise for Bice. One of them, Betty Peters from Dothan. The search for a missing plane in Henry County continues. The aircraft took off from Headland Airport on Monday with 2 men on board. Headed to Eufaula, the pilot was reported missing Tuesday afternoon when he did not pick his child up from school. The plane's believed to have crashed near Lake Eufaula because of the amount of fuel it could hold. It's an old Piper Cub model plane. The last trace of it came from a cell phone signal just before 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Authorities spent yesterday searching by helicopter and boat, but the search has shifted to the ground. Sheriff Will Maddox says it will take time to search the wooded areas, but they won't stop searching until it's found. A house in West Dothan that caught fire back in June, still standing in its post-fire condition. Neighbors are wondering why nothing's been done with it. WDHN's Yasmina Alston talked to the fire marshal to find out why.
I know that it is an eyesore in the neighborhood.
An eyesore it is, and neighbors are tired of looking at it. More than 50% of the house on Wembley Road burned almost 4 months ago by the man who was living there. He was arrested and charged with arson, and as a result, the house is still standing.
Normally, the process is just a little faster than this one has been, but we had the hang-up with it being a suspicious fire, an arrest involved, and then the insurance company completing their investigation took longer than normal.
People who live near what the fire department would consider a total loss have complaints and concerns for their children.
We try to go by, check the boarding on the doors and windows, and make it as secure as we possibly can.
Aside from that, one neighbor said when it rains, the house lets off a bad smell, which she finds concerning. But Fire Marshal Etheridge said there shouldn't be any danger, and that the fire department still follows up with those concerns. But their investigation has finished. As of now, the problem lies on the insurance company to finish theirs.
And we do everything we can to speed the process along.
While there is no exact timeline of what will happen to the house and when, Etheridge assures it won't be too much longer.
I would hate to say a number, but it's in the final stages of the process now.
In Dothan, Yasmina Alston, WDHN News.
Fire Marshal Etheridge did say the planning department, along with the city, would meet tonight with the Housing Code and Abatement Board to make some final decisions on what will happen with that property. Alabama state troopers say an Elba man has died from injuries sustained in an overnight crash in Coffee County. 22-year-old Charles Mallory was killed when the 2010 Chevrolet Camaro he was driving left the roadway and struck a tree. It happened just after midnight on Alabama 189. That's about 7 miles north of Elba. Troopers say Mallory was not wearing a seatbelt. The accident there remains under investigation. The number of people calling for the resignation of U.S. Judge Mark Fuller, that list is growing. Fuller, you may recall, committed domestic violence against his wife a few weeks ago. WDHN's Ken Curtis reports that the state's top law enforcement officer is now calling for Fuller to quit.
I would add my voice to that of Senator Shelby, Senator Sessions, Martha Roby, and others who have called on him to resign. I think that's a decision he'll have to make, of course, on his own. But I think that's probably the decision he should make.
The pressure is mounting on Fuller, who's not been seen in public since his arrest. Even though he'll avoid trial and a deal with prosecutors, Fuller's still on the hot seat in Alabama. No wonder after Fuller admitted he beat his wife during a drunken rage at a swanky Atlanta hotel. All of this when domestic violence is center stage in the public spotlight.
It's Dwyer. He's in.
NFL players and others accused of beating women isn't sitting well with much of anybody these days.
Are you responsible for the injuries that your wife and child sustained?
Well, we see more domestic abuse than we could ever imagine in the day-to-day law enforcement work that we do. It's a serious societal problem.
But Strange says publicity surrounding the recent cases may actually be a good thing, drawing attention to a behavioral problem that for years has pretty much been buried. In Dothan, Ken Curtis, WDHN News.
Fuller, who's from Enterprise, has been relieved of his caseload for now. Other judges at the federal courthouse in Montgomery picking up his slack. The only way he can be forced from the office is through impeachment. That, of course, appears unlikely. Well, a Dothan radio station celebrated its 50th birthday today. 99.7 Wolf FM, signed on the air in 1964. They've been under family ownership ever since. Listeners, advertisers, and friends called the station to wish them well, as did we here at WDHN. Others dropped by, bringing them some food. The station was owned and operated for decades by founder Agnes Simpson. She passed away in 2012. Today, it's managed by her daughter, Lee Thomas.
Still, I'm happy to come to work every day, and if you're in the radio business, this is the station you want to be at.
Happy birthday to our friends down at Wolf FM. While it's now 50 years old, its sister station, Wolf AM, much older. It went on the air in 1947. Once again, we want to wish Wolf FM the best for another 50 years.